Um, I would say that, yeah, if you're talking in terms of the sexual marketing place, then obviously it's the case because no one would go to a man necessarily and say he looks pretty. But I would say in terms of value, again, I would say for both men and women, I'd say for men, definitely, obviously, as they age up to a certain point, their value increases. I would agree with what he said in terms of the men. With women, I would say that the pretty privilege thing, it stops our point. So there has to be something more than the pretty privilege, which is why I disagree with the leftover point. Yeah.
I'd say she has totally confused me. Because if a man, when the woman is young, she's more valuable. And the older she gets, sexually, right, her looks start going, she starts drooping, everything's just going south. Whereas a man, you start hearing about silver fox, you know what I mean? Men can keep it up forever, do you know what I mean? Women just hang everywhere. The men are just always going to be there.
What's silver fox?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Silver fox.
What you?
Yeah, teach us. I don't know.
You don't know silver fox?
Yeah, teach us.
When you get old, sexy, grey-haired man, that's, look at most of the eligible men out there, and they're old, they've got their body together,
George Clooney.
They've got their grey hair.
George Clooney.
And they look good. Now, look at him at his age and look at the women at their age. Now, if we're saying that women lose their value as they get older and men gain more value as they get older, that's why you're going to end up with women at 35 on their own, because they're losing value. So you can't say, yeah, I agree with men gain value, women lose value, and then disagree against the fact that when you hit 35, your body's mash up for most of you. And then the men can still carry on developing. They can still carry on. That is why no old man wants to sleep with an old woman. No old man wants to sleep with an old woman. All the old men, they want young women because the men have still got it and the women have lost it.
Is that why Leonardo DiCaprio keeps dating when women under 25?
Yeah.
How old is his girlfriend
He's
at the
like
moment?
25, too old.
Yeah.
Too old.
Yeah.
Once it hits 20,
Because he can't. Not every guy can do that. Nope. But when you leave men that have the most opportunity to sleep with women, they always pick a young woman. Typically, except Jeff Bezos. I don't know what you're doing, man.
So if you're 35, the only way you can look good, date a 70-year-old. You're always going to look better than a 70-year-old.
Yeah, sorry. I just think it's good that she made the distinction that it's the sexual market. I think that's where the difference is. If you're basing it just on sex, then clearly that's the case.
That's where the women's value is.
Well, to a man.
To a man.
Well, and it goes back to actually, there's going to be there's a growing population of homeless women in the United States because you need 2.5 million to retire at 65. And most women, we own 2/3 of the consumer debt, even though we make $10,000 less than men. So we're not in general good with money. And even here, I know you guys have more bailout programs, but let's say they go away tomorrow. There's going to be women that are homeless.
Facts.
And because you don't, and even the bailout programs, that's why they say we need men, because who pays into those bailout programs for women? If a woman gets homeless, there's women's shelters. It's not the same. There's not men's shelters. They're just homeless. Like, women always have a fail-safe. And one day it's going to go away. And there's just going to be women who made bad decisions that are going to be on the streets.
But this is why earlier I brought in history and the fact that there was a point where we weren't even allowed an education. So in terms of financially, men have already had their head start. That's why I would say that, okay, women, they tend to be homeless because men have had the head start from... That's why I'm saying our generation is going to change things a lot because in terms of women are going to be able to catch up a lot more.
Speaking to the mic.
So women are going to be able to catch up a lot more. I feel like we can't ignore history when it comes to when you're considering the financial position of men and women. You can't ignore history.
I just get totally sick of that, when it comes to the finances, because I've worked in jobs and I've earned the same as the men. And when they talk about all this pay gap and that the men have had it and the women have had it, as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason why a woman can't go out there and get paid the same money for, as she's same qualifications, same job, same experience. I've done it. And I've also got a pay rise every year. I've never ever worked. I had a man on the same role as me, same experience, earn more than me. So and you're talking about the old generation. I'm the old generation.
In what sector is this?
But what I'm trying to say.
What sector is this?
Transport, management in transport.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter where it is, because wherever you go, you can get paid
Are these
the
sectors that
same.
you're required to have a certain level of qualification?
Any job you can go. Any job that a man can get qualified at and get paid, a woman who is equally qualified, equally experienced, and has the same manner when it comes to working. Because that's what let women down. Their mannerisms when they go in, they either go in like, oh, they're going too strong. But if you go in a job with the right frame of mind, and nowadays, the women are more qualified. In my generation, that's what you're going to say. The women are more qualified. In the old generation, we weren't that qualified. And the young generation, they're qualified now. So there is no reason for people to say, oh, but the men have got it now because they've earned more. That's rubbish nowadays. Well, especially for the new generation, because it's there for you on the plate. You've got it better than us.
Yeah, so I don't understand, what does that have to do with me today? That, some women were locked out of education before I was born. How does that affect me?
Because even in these environments, let's say a woman has managed to get to, let's say, a very senior position, it's still an environment that is dominated by maleness, especially white maleness. So, for instance, if you're a white woman and you've now come into this space, you have to overcome the barrier of being a woman in a male-dominated space.
No, I don't.
Okay, so how would you adapt?
You
in that
work hard.
Speaking to the mic.
You work hard. That's what I see. Every time someone blames their pay on the pay gap, they're lazy. Honestly, they're lazy because the pay gap doesn't exist. When you take in, this is what you don't understand. When you take into account personality differences between men and women don't ask for raises. That's the problem. 60% of women have never asked for a raise, and you're going to complain that you don't get paid the same. You don't ask for a raise.
This is what I'm saying. The environment, a man, because this is an environment that men have been in.
No, it's a choice. That's a choice.
Before women, if I personally, I would ask for a raise, but it's different because it takes confidence to ask for that. Confidence in yourself. And if you're in an environment that wasn't even made for people like you, for some women, they would be some of the first people in that kind of environment, and they have to thrive in that. You have to overcome the barrier of having to adapt in that environment. That's something a man doesn't have to think of.
One, there are quotas. Okay, so there are specific quotas to give women jobs over men. Men don't have any quotas. So
because they don't need it.
No, because why do we need a quota? Or do you not think women are qualified to get the job on their own?
I didn't say that.
No, but that's what you're implying by saying we need quotas.
I said, no. That's why I said you can't ignore the history.
No,
because the reason the quotas are there.
That's an excuse.
Is due to the history.
That's an excuse.
I'm not saying
it's an excuse.
Okay.
Anyone can go out and get any job they want. Nothing's stopping us. There's no law stopping us. And if anything, there's incentives.
I've worked in a male-dominated environment all my life. And I can honestly say I was the only black woman supervisor, black woman manager.
Props to you.
It never, not props to me, it was a job. I didn't care whether I was black or not. I'm getting the money. I'm getting the same money as everybody else. To me, it didn't matter whether I was black or not. It was a job. And the men have got the job. I've got the job. They're earning the same as me. And every year I make sure I got my pay rise the way they did.
And you didn't.
And I had the same attitude.
You didn't make it a hang-up.
No. And the thing is with women, I find that when they go out, yes, your attitude has to change. I'm in a male environment. I'm with a load of males. So, yeah, I can hold my own. I can have a conversation. I'm going to dress feminine, but I'm going to stand my own masculine. But you see, when I step out that house and I get home to my man, all feminine.
Oh, God.
Submissive. And that's what the women fail to realise now, the new generation, because you can go out there and you can do a job just as good as a man. And when you come home, you forget that you're a woman. You still go on like you're a man. That's what the men don't like.
I didn't everything you're insinuating. I didn't.
I'm not insinuating. I'm just saying. I'm speaking from experience, because I don't want to hear the excuse of, because you're a woman, you got to go in that environment and act a certain way. Rubbish. Because of your colour, rubbish. Because of your sex, rubbish. Because of the pay, rubbish. Because I've done it, and it's the norm. I've done it. So all women need to do, if you want to get paid more, the same way how you can speak up and say, oh, I'm a woman, this and that, speak up and say, excuse me, but I'm due a pay rise. Can I have my money? This is how hard I've worked. This is what I deserve. And this is what my contract says.
Now, that's what I'm saying, that now you can do that, but it hasn't always been like that.
No, I'm older than you. I'm 53. I'm retired. So you can't say, now you can do that because I've been doing it.
Okay, but you can't, this is what I mean, you can't ignore the history. Okay, but before you...
I'm history. I'm the history. I am the history. I am your history.
Are you ignoring history
I
right
am
now?
53. I am retired. I am your history. So you can't tell me to forget about the history
And you
because
said
I am the
remember
history.
history.
And before my
But,
history,
you know, it's- I
my
don't- I
mother
don't
done
wanna-
the same
I
job
don't-
as a
I
black
don't-
woman.
I
My
don't
mum
wanna-
done the same job.
I don't want to offend you, but
You
it's
can't
not
offend
like
me, I'm
that.
too old for
it's
that.
not like that in every sector. It's not like that.
It's
If you're
like
talking
that in
about
every
if you're
sector.
talking about the top sectors, because there's still, for instance, if you're talking about science, if you're talking
Yeah.
about tech, if you're talking about engineering,
Yeah.
these sectors, there's still a lack of women.
Why?
And-
Because the women don't. Go and do it. If there's a lack of women, go and do it. I wanted to be a bus driver. There was a lack of women. You know what I done? I didn't complain and say, there's no women bus drivers. Go and do it. They didn't have no managers. Go and do it. Don't sit back complaining that in these top sectors. Nowadays, you've got all the qualifications. The young people, you can go university. You can get degrees. Go and do it. You know what I mean?
Women are.
If you want to do
Women
something,
are
well,
doing
don't
it. Like
complain
you
about
said,
it. Change it.
Like you said, women are doing it, but the results are still not the same.
Nah.
Not really.
Nah.
They're not doing
They're not
it.
doing it.
They're not doing it.
And that's,
They're not doing
and that's
it.
the thing.
Women don't
One at a time, guys.
Women
One
are
at a
the
time.
most educated, but they don't make more money because they have a ton of debt. And women don't make the majority of workplace deaths. Where's the equality? Where are the marches? Men are the majority of workplace deaths. They do all of the hard jobs, therefore they get more money. Do you want to be a plumber? Do you want to be a bricklayer? The only jobs you're seeing are the 2% of jobs, like CEOs, power positions, hypothetically. But my dad was one of those top 1% CEOs. He worked 80 hours a week for 40 years. Do you want to do that? I don't. Most women don't. They want to have kids.
Okay, that's why I said this is you can't mix the two, because you're saying women should focus with what you're saying women should focus on having kids, and for that reason they wouldn't be able to do the 80 hours a week.
No, I'm not saying what women should and shouldn't do. I'm saying I don't like excuses.
I'm not making
because you're
excuses at
blaming
all.
the pay gap on being a woman.
I'm not blaming the pay
You're
gap.
saying we need
it's
to be
not the
aware.
same.
You're saying we need to be aware of our history. I'm saying that has nothing to do with me today. I was born in 2022. There's nothing that is holding me back as a woman. If anything, it's offered me advantages because all the men hiring are attracted to you.
No,
You apply for a job. You're a pretty young girl. Most men that hire you are going to be attracted to you.
Oh, to be young again. I'll do it all again.
Youth is
I'd
wasted
do
on
it
the
better too.
Do you not believe that?
Oh, to be young again.
No?
no.
It's true.
No.
It's true.